Mr. Speaker, we always knew this Prime Minister was not worth the cost after 9 years, but now his carbon tax cover-up has been exposed. We forced him to release data showing that in addition to the higher bills at the pumps and on home heating that Canadians directly pay in the tax, there's also going to be a $30 billion a year hit to our economy. That's $1,800 in lost wages and higher prices for Canadian families. Now that we've caught them hiding the true cost of their tax, how can we believe anything else they say about any other tax hike?
The Honourable Minister for the Environment and Climate Change.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, facts are facts, and the facts are that 8 out of 10 Canadian families get more money back from carbon pricing than they pay. Facts, Mr. Speaker, climate change is going to cost Canadians $35 billion by 2030. In fact, right now, Eastern Canada is seeing the second heat wave before the summer has even started. People are being evacuated in Northwest Territories. What's the Conservative response? Let the planet burn. It's immoral, Mr. Speaker. We won't have it on this side of the House. We will work with Canadians. We will help them. We will be there for them. Unfortunately, not the Conservative Party of Canada.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the fanatical rhetoric of that extremist minister won't change anything. The reality is that nor will his carbon tax change the weather. His carbon tax is not going to eliminate a single forest fire, a single drought, a single heat wave. All it will do is turn up the heat on Canadian taxpayers. Now we know that their 8 and 10 talking point does not include a $25 billion hit to the economy, which works out to almost $2,000 in lost wages and higher prices for families. Again, if they've been hiding this, what else are they hiding about their other tax hikes?
The Honourable Minister of Natural Resources and Energy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I noted last week my colleagues' newfound interest in what economists have to say. Will 300 economists across this country actually validate the fact that 8 out of 10 Canadians get more money back? What is appalling, Mr. Speaker, is the complete disregard and ignoring the effects of climate change and the costs of climate change. I don't know whether the honourable member is a climate denier or whether he just doesn't think climate change is very important, but his willingness to compromise the future of our children is absolutely appalling.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
And now that we've caught them covering up the real cost and who will pay their carbon tax, it raises the question about their job-killing tax on home builders, health care, small business, and farmers. The president of real estate company RE/MAX said it's not true that just the rich will pay. It will penalize average Canadians. The Canadian food professor says that farmers will pay, which means anyone who eats will pay. Right. So, Mr. Speaker, why won't they just clear all this up and accept an amendment to their capital gains tax hike to exclude anyone who's making less than $120,000 in income from paying a single cent in higher tax?
The Honourable President of the Treasury Board.
Mr. Speaker, actually a new report out today says that housing starts are up, Mr.
10%.
Speaker, by 10%. We are now on track to build over 50,000 housing starts this year, compared to when the Leader of the Opposition was the housing minister. How many housing units were built, Mr. Speaker? Count them. That'd be 6, Mr. Speaker. I wonder about those stats, Mr. Speaker, and on this side of the House, we actually have a plan to build housing, and they continue to go up, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
The Honourable Member from Stormont Dundas, South Glengarry.
Last week, only after relentless pressure from Conservatives, the Liberals finally ended their carbon tax cover-up. The numbers show the NDP Liberal carbon tax is going to blow a hole of $30 billion a year once they fully quadruple the carbon tax. That is nearly $2,000 per family per year. This radical environment minister knew that all along. Instead of publishing the report, he gagged and ridiculed the independent parliamentary budget officer. So the question is whether never-ending tax hikes finally stop, or better yet, will this minister just resign?
The Honourable Minister for the Environment and Climate Change.
Mr. Speaker, 8 out of 10 Canadians do better where the federal system apply than not, Mr. Speaker. And the Conservative Party of Canada, after campaigning to put in place carbon pricing during the last election, now has turned their back on them just as much as they've turned their backs on Canadians, Mr. Speaker. Their only answer to climate change is to ignore it and to let the planet burn. This is immoral. We won't let this happen on this side of the House. We will be there to support Canadians, unlike the Conservative Party of Canada.
You're here.
The Honourable Member from Stormont Dundas, South Glengarry.
And after 9 years, they don't have an environmental plan, they have a tax plan. And a tax plan they were trying to hide from Canadians, but it was Conservatives that finally got the answers that show the $30 billion a year hole it is blowing in our Canadian economy. A $1 billion tax increase to farmers coming up, quadrupling the carbon tax to 61 cents a litre on the price of gas. It is out of touch, it is arrogant, and it is punishing Canadians when they need help. Will this minister get with reality, finally stop increasing the carbon tax, and again, just better yet, fire himself?
Here, here.
The Honourable Minister for Natural Resources and Energy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On this side of the House, what we have is a comprehensive plan to address the threat of climate change, one of the most comprehensive in the world. We also have a plan for the economy, one that will ensure economic jobs, economic prosperity in a low-carbon world. What is astonishing, Mr. Speaker, is the fact that these folks have neither. They have neither an environmental plan to save the planet from burning. They have not an economic plan. And with the height of hypocrisy, that member over there actually campaigned on putting on a price on pollution. Where were they?